Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Reeves. I'm joined today by Alex Stadnick. How's it going, Alex?
Good. How about you?
Good. Doing good.
Good.
Feeling great.
Good.
Ready for a podcast.
Love to hear it.
Andy Reiner, you're also here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Game Informer's editor-in-chief. We got him, everybody.
It's harder than you think.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going, Quirk?
Doing very well, thank
Thumbs
you.
up from you. Great.
It's true.
Yeah, I wanted to say thanks for everybody online who's been saying good things about the podcast. I haven't read any of the comments from people who are hating on it, but I'm sure that's not out there anyway. Yeah, but I did forget last week to say thanks to our new music, which was supplied by the Rapture Twins. So thank you for that. Renner, I heard you're maybe a big fan of them.
Oh, yeah, groupie. I go wherever they do. I hang outside in their house. Yeah.
That's a little creepy, man.
Get on stage with them.
You know, that's groupie next gen, like next level. Like, you know, that's what you got to do to really blend in now. Because everything's been done before, but now, you know, I'm innovating in that space. So, yeah. No, I'm one half of the Rapture Twins. The other half is Justin, Courtney, Pierre.
You're one of the twins.
Wow.
Are you guys Siamese twins?
No, we wish. Yeah, we wish, but no. A lot of people, you were talking about negative comments. A lot of people had negative comments about that music. So, yeah, I cried myself to sleep last week. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry for adding to those negative comments too, by the way. I just fear change.
Yeah.
Is my problem.
Yeah.
I think people grow on people and hopefully they love it. But
yeah, I think ban them. Yeah, we can just ban them. Yeah.
We'll just ban them. Sounds good. All right. Well, welcome to the show, everybody. We got a great episode, I think, planned up for you. You know, Ubisoft this weekend announced a lot of stuff, and we were fortunate enough to play quite a bit of it, which segues into our first segment, which is the GI playlist.
Whoop, whoop.
And so maybe I'll just start with Jeff Cork.
Yes, sir.
Go first.
Let's go first. It's probably not a big surprise. It's kind of boring. Been playing a ton of Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh,
And I absolutely love it.
Absolutely love it. Yeah, you perfectly segued from my Ubisoft setup into Ghost of Tsushima. So thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean,
yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is also the other big game that came out this week, and you love it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. Yeah,
why?
What else do you want from me? I love it because it's a big open world, which I love. Got a bunch of like fun, engaging systems, a lot of side activities. I like the pacing of it. It seems very slow and methodical, but in a good way. Seems like it gives moments time and space to breathe, which doesn't happen a lot of times in games. So like there's a lot of just moments of quiet reflection, and it just feels a lot different from other games that are out there. I think like the superficial read, and I certainly am guilty of this as well, is that it's Assassin's Creed in Japan. And I think that that's like a real quick shortcut that'll get you to the starting line, but I don't know that that's necessarily like telling even a fraction of the whole story. Yeah, sure. It's a phenomenal game.
And you did something that's super smart, and you've been playing in the Kurosawa mode, which I am a little bit jealous, and I feel like I should have done, but I was too scared to do.
Why are you so scared of it?
I'm scared of going colorblind if I stare at the right images for too long.
Okay, you're not wrong there. That's the mode too, just in case you aren't aware that sets everything into like a black and white, and then has like a film grain filter, kind of compresses the audio a little bit also to kind of emulate old movies, like in the style of an Akira Kurosawa samurai movie. And it's super effective.
I believe, talked to somebody at his estate, so like they actually worked with him, and that's why they can actually call it that.
Oh, I would hope so.
Yeah, so that's neat.
Yeah,
it was very much like, hey, we did this, and it's a lot like yours. Do we owe you money? No, okay. You like it? All right, bye.
We'll send you a copy.
Maybe we should have got a lawyer on the phone for that. Oh,
they were zoomed. Yeah, lawyers in the corner.
But I highly recommend that at a minimum everyone gives that a shot, because it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean, I turned it on for a little bit, and we were talking a little bit before the show. It's like the game is so good looking. Like there was a moment where I was playing, and I was like, there was a bunch of fireflies flying around, and it just looks stunning. And I'm like, it looks unreal. You're like, there's no place on earth that could be this beautiful, but like Japan actually is that beautiful at times. But I was like, oh man, I don't want to turn color off because I like the way it looks so much. But at the same time, when I had it on, it also looked really cool, just in a sort of different way. So yeah, definitely check it out. But
There's one
Reiner
shot.
and Alex, you guys both been playing, so go for it.
Yeah, there's one on that note. There's one shot at the beginning of the game where you're going through this flower field and it's these white flowers and they're waving in the wind and you're riding your horse through it. And your character Jin leans over and runs his hands through the flowers. And it just in your mind, you're like, I would probably try to do that if I wasn't terrified of riding a horse. I would probably be like, this is just, I want to be one with nature. And they really sell that in that moment. Just a little animation.
Mm-hmm.
But that just speaks to the game where you go to these forests that are like all yellow or orange flower or leaves. Like every leaf is the same color. And it just looks like something like artwork someone would paint if they had a limited palette, right? But that is realism and it's just stunning to be in there.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. What do you guys think of the gameplay? The action.
I love it. I love the swordplay in it feels so good, especially when you unlock all the stances and kind of get that get the muscle memory for that. Which took me a good couple hours, not only to unlock things but to get it down. But once I'm cycling through and I think one of my favorite parts is as you progress in the story, your legend grows. So then the piece that they showed in the state of play where people run away from you becomes more and more frequent. And I love, and in my game, I don't know why I was blessed with it, but it's always the big dudes who always throw their stuff and run away. And it looks like a goofy, Looney Tune, trying to get out of there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a bad. It feels so good. It empowers you in a way that feels really refined. I know a lot of Jeff was talking about the Assassin's Creed comparison, but I think this is a really refined vision of that, and it feels not necessarily more purposeful, but it just feels cleaner and the best version of that, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. This is gonna sound maybe a little bit like a complaint. It's not, but I'm usually a stealth player,
and
I find that the stealth in Ghost of Tsushima, it's solid, but I don't think it's my favorite way to play the game. I think it's actually more fun to go in action heavy, or maybe stealth around a little bit, clean out the herd, and then go in heavy with your swords. And I usually hate swapping between stances, but in this game it works for me. I really like swapping between the stances and okay, this is a shield guy. I need to hit him with this stance and take him out. And then there's 2 spear guys, so I got to swap over and hit him with this other stance. So that to me, that's working really well.
Yeah. I also think just the way parries work is really smart. It seems like the timing really kind of lines up. If you're anticipating it, you're going to do it. It's a matter of kind of reading the enemies. And then also I like how subtle the dodge is, right? You can do the big roll out of the way, but you can also just kind of do that little sidestep and just immediately go in with a sword strike. I think that's it's really refined and tight. And I love the flow of it and how you're reading enemies. And it almost seems like they're reading you too, right? The stance you have and all that. There's a good bit of a showdown that happens with most encounters. Even if there's a group of enemies, they kind of let you go one-on-one, right? And then the next guy comes in. But I think it's really well made.
Yeah, really cool game. Sucker Punch really knocked it out of the park this time. So congrats to them. Good job, guys.
Definitely.
Did any of you guys finish the game yet?
No, I'm in Act 2. I think Jeff's in Act 2.
I'm just starting Act 2. It is so beefy. And I think we talked a little bit about this before we started, but I haven't had an open world game really hook me with the side missions in a while. And especially the Mythic Tales are so good. I think they've been my favorite part of the game so far. Because they do that. It's not quite what Odyssey is doing, where it's the full-on mythology, or God of War, let's say, of feudal Japan, but it walks over those legends and grounds them in realism, but it also makes for some of the coolest fights in the game so far, and I am so in love with them.
There was one point where I was playing and there was a Mongol camp that I needed to go into to clear out, right? And this is an optional thing. I just saw it on the horizon. I'm like, okay, I'm going to this. I'm going to take that out. But then I saw a little fox, so I followed the fox. And the next thing you know, I'm up on a cliff, naked in a spa, a hot spring. And then I'm doing a haiku, and then I'm playing my flute on a different cliff. And I was just I don't even need to do anything violent or anything. I'm just having a blast, just exploring this world and kind of being absorbed into the art and culture of Japan a little at times, right? I think they do. That's what you're saying, Jeff. It's not just like Assassin's Creed. I think they really latch onto key aspects of the time and place and do it up in a big way. That's fun and rewarding for the player.
Mm-hmm. The game that really demands you sort of slow down and take it in. I'm used to playing a lot of open world games with a checklist out, and I'm like, okay, what's my next move? And like trying to hit it up as fast as I can.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not as fun to play this game that way. You kind of want to like soak in the world, take your time. I was talking to Nate Fox, who's the creative director, not to name drop, but just to say that this is for a magazine feature, and he was talking about Breath of the Wild, not necessarily as an inspiration, but like as one of his favorite games. And I can definitely see the parallels there, because Breath of the Wild's another game that I think really makes you slow down a little bit and enjoy the world. So I got vibes from that even when I was playing Ghost of Tsushima before you even mentioned that. So that was cool.
I don't think
anything to have a paraglider in Ghost.
That would be awesome, actually.
Yeah. Oh well.
It's not as stunning in little details as like The Last of Us Part 2, but I think for a scenic snapshot, this is one of the most gorgeous games I've ever seen. Like when you get up on a cliff and you see like the valley below and just the amount of detail and just how it's shaped, it's lights out. Like it's like, whoa, you take a moment just to sit there and reflect on what you're seeing. Like it's that pretty of a game.
I think what's really interesting about it too is it's a nice kind of end in many ways for the PlayStation 4. And it's kind of strange to think that this is one of the few games that I can think of that makes use of the touchpad on the controller in a really meaningful way. Like you're constantly engaged with swiping in different directions for things. And it's like, you're looking back at the lifespan of the PlayStation 4, very underutilized component of that controller. And it kind of goes out on a real high note. Like, hey, this wasn't just a big button, guys.
We figured out one great use.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So like, I like that you can swipe on the touchpad, and actually, I think Witcher did that as well, where you could swipe down or something and pull right up the maps instead of just the your menus. Which I wish more games did that. Like, it seems so smart. Cool. Well, Matt Miller, he reviewed the game for our site. He wasn't able to make it on a podcast today, unfortunately, but he did give the game a 9.5, and he said it's a game that nails the aesthetic it's shooting for, and it firmly establishes itself as the medium's defining samurai saga. So he gave it high praise, and the review's up on the site now. And Alex, you did a video review as well. Not, you took his words and did the video review, I should say.
Yeah.
And that's online as well. So check it out. Cool. Cork, anything else you've been playing?
Trying to think of anything else I've been playing. No. Sorry to disappoint you. I just feel like that's what I've been focusing on. Yeah.
I thought there was one other game. I don't know if you want to look at your watch and try to think of what it could be.
Oh, I thought we were just talking about things we were just playing solely for fun.
Oh, you didn't have fun playing this game?
I may have had a really good time playing it, but I thought this was like in my off hours. No, I played Watch Dogs Legion. I played a bunch of them. Yeah.
Oh.
So and before that, it's great. Yeah, it's had a really good time with it, and in much the same way, it's a big open world. I mean, City of London, and it's huge, and it's a great game if you're really into like getting deep within systems and exploring and kind of poking and prodding and trying things out from different angles and that kind of thing. You can get really, really deep into the way that the recruitment systems go. It's super interesting, and it's way deeper and more engaging than I originally thought it was going to be. Because I think we all saw the presentation at E3 last year, and then they kind of went quiet for a little bit. The game was got an extension, and they took the time to add some really interesting stuff to the game, and it's a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Who'd you get to recruit into your crew? Did you get the grandma, or did you get the John Wick character? Like, it seems like those are the people that people were excited about the most.
No, just a wide array of people. Like there's some, like when we started off with it, kind of we played through the opening of the game, and then they skipped us ahead to like the midpoint. So everything was open, and I think it gave us a fairly standard suite where there was like a spy, there's a police officer, there was a construction worker, and then some like weirder ones like a bartender, and then we recruited a barber, a hacktivist, an anarchist, and they do the things that you would want them to do, which I think is super fun. So like not all the people, you can recruit just about anybody, but not everyone has a skill set. Like the barber, for instance, really didn't have much going on, but when you recruit her, she gets the basic DedSec arsenal. So she has, in our case, like things that you unlock from the tech tree. So we had her spider drone and a non-lethal pistol and that kind of stuff. So like you could get anybody, but it's not like if you're just like, I'm gonna get this this guy who doesn't have any discernible talents, and they're gonna go into every situation completely unarmed, exposed, and just it's gonna be a disaster. So everyone does start with like a basic kit, but then the more interesting stuff is like the anarchist, for instance, had she had a bandana around her face, so she also was immune to gas effects, which was good because she had a gas grenade that made a big plume of red smoke, and everyone else would be stunned by it, but she could walk right into it and like bonk people with a truncheon. And there's a lot of interesting elements with like uniform disguises and certain characters being able to go into different places. I was talking to the creative director Clint Hawking, and he was saying that like his favorite character that he encountered was a roadie who had a guitar. You could like busk for on the street, and play that animation and
That's
get
awesome.
like get some money, like some crypto from people watching. And you also like bonk people with a guitar, also as a melee weapon. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it sounds super. Were you a fan of either of the other two?
Yeah, absolutely. I loved Watch Dogs 2. So like I did go back to that like a few weeks ago just to finish up the last few things of that, and
Yeah.
I'd forgotten how much fun that one is as well. It has a completely different tone, so I think that there's kind of like a leaning really heavy into meme culture and that kind of stuff in Watch Dogs 2. Watch Dogs 3 or Watch Dogs Legion, sorry, isn't like a somber documentary style tone, but it's not as like waka 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 in your face, I think, in a lot of ways, as Watch Dogs 2, but it's still really funny. But yeah, it's good stuff.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to, like, I'm not excited about the series, although I did enjoy 2, but like this third entry just looks so different, and I love the direction, the systemic nature. It seems like just an amazing sandbox. I can't wait.
When is that coming? October
29th.
Mm-hmm. 2 days before All Hallows Eve.
Do you think they thought about that? Is there some connection there? Like, oh, you're dressing up as other people, sort of. Is that reading too much into it?
I think you're reading maybe the right amount into it.
I mean, you got to release the game sometime, so.
Yeah, exactly. Every game has to come out.
Yeah. Can't all be close to a holiday.
Right.
Great. So that's Watch Dogs. Reiner, what about you? What have you been playing?
2 games from long ago. I'm not going classic necessarily, but I am playing first and foremost a lot of Rocket League. Like a ridiculous amount of this game. I'm terrible at it still. I can't fly. I played with someone from Sony PR that was like, yeah, I'll join your game. Aram, who's we talked about it on Twitter, and he's like, yeah, I'll jump in, and he's unranked. He hasn't played in a while, so he jumps in with me and my friends, and he's immediately flying everywhere, and all the cars are flying, and we're just like on the ground, like like barely hitting the ball, and he's like, oh, I'm like a high plat player usually, and we're like, we're bronze, man. Like we can't hang with you. So we're learning that, trying to figure that game out. It's so good. And I don't know why it took me so long to get into it. It's just different than anything else. And especially during the pandemic, not having a violent game and just one that you can laugh at. Yes, it gets intense in the matches, but it's just something different to play. So we've been kind of moving away from Overwatch to play that most nights. And then the other one, this is a bit of a curveball, playing a lot of Sea of Thieves with with my daughter.
All the things you can play.
Yeah.
Is it just because it's a good kids game?
It's a weird kids game in that, you're drinking grog and your guys getting drunk and stuff like that. So I had to explain that. Like, they're drinking poison or whatever, like it makes them loopy.
Never drink in your life, kid.
Yeah. But we never go on missions. We just aimlessly sail to islands and just go discover things. And then we set sail, and it's like, she'll be like, Daddy, do the sails, raise the anchor, and she's on the wheel and crashing into islands and stuff like that. And I don't know. It's just a really different type of co-op experience that I never expected to play with my daughter or ever again, right? Like I played it when it came out at launch and I got bored by it playing. I think I played with you, Ben, and Matt Miller. and there just wasn't a lot of content there. But playing it through the eyes of a child now, is so different. The way they approach it is such a different thing, and I'm enjoying it through her. It's not like I think the content's great or anything like that. I still have questions about it. We're just not engaging it. Like, we've done like 2 missions total.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's grown or not, but just the base they have for children is pretty fascinating and well done. So yeah, those are the 2 games I'm playing right now.
Rare should have shipped that game with a kid, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Special
What was Peter Molyneux's virtual kid? They could have
Milo.
woven him into this.
Yeah. What's Milo doing these days?
Have him come on Sea of Thieves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gosh, so weird.
To Reiner's point though, because I've not recently, but within the pandemic, my buddies and I picked up Sea of Thieves again, and in the guise of a big kid I guess, I think some of my favorite gaming nights with
Debatable.
them, have been, mistakenly crashing into islands in that game, and just like the nautical nonsense of it is really a treat. And I think if anyone wasn't a fan of it at the start, I think you should go try it now, because the content it's not like it's game changing, but it's come a long way, and I think there's a cool community in that we've experienced. I don't know overall that people have come to help us when we needed it, and
they definitely have continued to support that game in a good way, and it's on Game Pass too. So
Correct.
if you have Game Pass,
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah.
Sea of Thieves. Alex, anything else on your playlist?
Yeah, I've been. We can talk about Paper Mario, right? At this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I have been playing Paper Mario. Partially.
Oh no, Nintendo's right behind you. They're coming to shut you up.
Miyamoto just snipes me. No, I've been playing Paper Mario, and I'm in the phase of that game where it is still engaging and fun to me. I've been really enjoying the puzzle solving to start each match. Because there's some that you just look at and you're like, okay, I'm just never gonna get this one. But then when you eventually do, it feels really good. And it's the actual combat becomes a little samey. But when you mix that with the gorgeous paper art that they have in that game, and the funnies I'm really enjoying it. And especially, like, I think it's a really good, and like I said, I'm still early in, but I think it's a really good, just like handheld, laying in bed or just on the couch. Like, I think it's a really good game for that. I will say the boss battles have been more frustrating than I anticipated they would be. And you touch on it in your review, and if people haven't seen it, go look at Ben's review. But there's a lot of, like, they just expect you to guess wrong a lot of times. I think you said in your review, trial and error, but it's like on frustrating, like, things where the bosses will, like, just level you and, like, take out your health, and it's like, okay, well, there was nothing to prepare me for this, so it feels a little cheap, but I'm so taken with the goofiness and silliness of the world that it's pushing through for me. So I'm excited to keep going.
Yeah. I think you kind of touched on a lot of my major complaints about the game, and I talked about them in the review as well. But yeah, I felt like the combat, it had something there. Like, they had some good ideas, but then it just wasn't fleshed out as much as I would have liked. But, like, as they always do, Nintendo's humor is really funny, and that world is really interesting to wander around in and talk to people. So if you're a fan of the series, you might still dig it. I gave it a 7.75 just because of, I just wanted something more from the combat in the world, and it is repetitive, like you said. So that's disappointing.
Yeah,
but it's probably for some people. Some people would probably dig it a lot.
Yeah, if you're looking for a casual experience, I think this is a good port for that.
Yeah, great.
So
cool. Well, yeah, we talked about Ghost of Tsushima, which is one of the games I've been playing a lot. But I also had an opportunity this week to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I had a good time with that. And it was weird. I told you, Quirk, where it was like I put down my controller from playing Ghost, and then I picked up a controller to play Valhalla, and it was like, this is very similar. Like, some of the same muscle memory was like clicking in for like parrying attacks and stuff like that, which kind of speaks to, everybody's saying it, but Sucker Punch kind of made an Assassin's Creed game, or at least, I don't know that was their intent, but the kind of game they wanted to make is very similar to the kind of game that Ubisoft's making with Assassin's Creed. But all that said, they're both good.
It speaks to how Yeah, it speaks to how great Assassin's Creed is, right? Like, I mean, it's just such a great foundation for an open world experience that, you know, you can't do things better than how they do climbing walls and stuff like that. And they just handle those things the same way. You know, it's why try something different when it's just perfection right there, right?
Yeah.
I love the fact that people have been wanting Assassin's Creed to go to Japan for so long that someone at least said, like, fine, we'll do it. Here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really seems like Ubisoft was just avoiding Japan because people wanted it so much.
Yeah.
And I guess someone finally did it. So now maybe they don't have to. But going back to Valhalla, like I had fun with that game. Like I was already sure I would like it because I really liked Odyssey. And this feels like more like Odyssey. And there's a new gameplay today up on the site if you want to hear us go in depth on it. But they've changed a few things. It feels like stealth is a little bit more of a viable option now. It's easier to perform stealth kills, whereas before, you had the RPG-ness of it scaled in such a way as where you could stealth attack a guy and he could stand up and like start attacking you. It's like, well, why isn't this working? So most enemies will go down with the stealth attack now, and they've changed some things like how you get abilities. You find books in the world to get abilities now. The skill tree is massive. It's kind of more passive skill stuff, but still focused on here's your assassin track, here's your warrior track, here's your archer track. But yeah, it was fun. If you're excited at all about any of the Assassin's Creed games, especially the last couple, this one's in good hands.
Yeah.
Did you?
We were talking about this before. Sorry, Alex, real quick, but just I think I'm in need of a palate cleanser between Ghost and before I can go into Assassin's Creed Valhalla, because I think that those games, they're very similar, at least like superficially, and I don't know that it's going to be super easy for me to fold into that experience after spending so much time in Ghost. So I guess maybe I'll play Cyberpunk, I suppose.
Yeah, which is out. Yeah,
truly a sacrifice.
Yeah,
they announced Assassin's Creed's coming out on the 17th of November, which is very close to Cyberpunk, as you mentioned, and people are speculating that we're probably getting a new console that week, and that's why those games are both out there. So we'll see.
Two of the biggest games of the year in terms of length, 2 days apart, potentially a day apart from a new console launch. Like, what is happening? This should not be this way. Like, we need a lot of space between these giant games.
Yeah.
It would be nice. Like, yeah, think about us. Think about us.
Come on.
Game developers.
Yeah.
Think about the wear and tear on our lives for playing games.
Yep.
Here's a question.
Our lives are.
Here's a question for you. Jeff said he's going to play Cyberpunk. Are you going to play it now, knowing that there is a new gen version right around the corner? It's not dated yet, but is that such a big game that you have to just knock it out as soon as it hits, or would you want to wait for the next gen version?
I wonder if I think it might be an interesting exercise if it's one of those, like, you get the upgrade free, right, on a platform, to play it on current gen and then see what that next gen transition does, just so you can do a little bit of a compare and contrast, just so I can look at that however many hundreds of dollars worth of tech I just bought, and I could either love it or just want to throw it into the yard because I'm just so mad that it just made me had better reflections or something that did. But yeah, I think I want to experience that. Then I think it'll be nice because then you could, Digital Foundry, I'm sure will go all out and with all the, tech comparisons and everything. But it'll be fun just to be like, I started the stopwatch on my phone app, and I saw that the load took this much time, and now it takes this much time. That's pretty neat.
Next gen, baby.
Next year.
They're gonna put that on the box.
I did that when we were reviewing the Xbox Series X, right? Like, I had the stopwatch for like loading up 2 Assassin's Creed games, one on the normal Xbox, one on the X. It was like a difference of like 16 seconds. So I'm like,
yeah. And what have you done with all that time looking back, Reiner?
Seriously, how much of our life is spent in load screens?
Yeah, if you could get all that back at the end of your life, you could play like 10 more games probably, or more.
Who knows?
Cool. Well, we touched on most of the Ubisoft stuff there. There was their new Battle Royale, which we talked about last week. Dan came on and talked about it. So if you want to listen to last week's show,
Hyperscape.
Hyperscape, which we also have. Do we have a new gameplay today up on that one?
We do. It was Leo and Dan played it on lunch day whenever they launched the technical test. So go check that out.
Great. The only other thing worth highlighting from the show was they announced a new Splinter Cell, and the crowd went wild, and they're like, "Yay! Game of the year 2021!" Then we all crowned it and high-fived each other, and then woke up from my stupid dream and realized that didn't happen.
That was mean.
But yeah, but they did announce Far Cry 6. So what did you guys think of that one? We didn't get to play it, but it looked neat.
That's one of the best trailers I've ever seen for a game. What was it, Dead Island and then Far Cry 6 are just like, you guys know the one I'm talking about with the circle and then just the credits, almost like a beginning of a TV show. The beginning of a TV show you don't want to skip.
Right.
You just watch every time. Game of Thrones or whatever. It's just fascinating every time you look at it. I thought that was great. But you have like one of the greatest villains in TV history as the face of this game. I think that's amazing.
They announced
Carlo Stanton or
Esposito.
Esposito.
That's you pulled the baseball player.
Who was in? That's pretty good. Who was in what you're mentioning because he was in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
Yep.
Which
now
is phenomenal.
Mandalorian.
Yeah. And his model in the game, it looked uncanny. Like that looks hyper real, I think. And then he has a son, and he had a heart-to-heart with his son about his son. He gave his son a live grenade, and basically is encouraging him to throw it at people who are riding. So there's some tense stuff there, and I hope they lean into that. I'd be kind of into more politically charged game, which they've kind of leaned away from in the past games.
After that trailer, do you guys think that's Voss, the kid, or do you think not?
Well, he's wearing basically the same earbuds or earphones I am, so it can't be Voss, right? That would be, the technology is too current, right, for the kid.
Well, because Far Cry 3 was like still like 2000s, right? They were still, I guess I don't remember exactly the tech in that, but I had the same reaction where I saw that and I was like, I don't know, maybe it's not. Because I think the only thread was the people saw the eyebrow scar was like the main thing. I still hope it is.
Playing fast and loose with their timeline.
Yeah, which is possible.
I like the idea. I do like the idea that this is a young Voss, and we get to see his like rise to power, basically.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's Far Cry 6, which is out early next year, February 18th, I believe. I was surprised they gave us dates for all these. That's cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Great. So that wraps up our GI playlist, and now we want to move on to a segment that I'm calling GI Predicts.
Hey!
Hey! Surprise, surprise. I don't know if we'll do this every week. Probably won't, unless there's an overwhelming demand for us to do more of these.
What else would we predict?
Yeah, what else would we predict? Well, the reason we're doing this is because there's an Xbox showcase, Xbox press conference, digital, what do we call these things? Online briefing?
They're calling it game showcase, digital event, perhaps.
Yeah. So Microsoft's having their Nintendo Direct next week, and we're going to predict what we hope is going to be on there. So I asked everybody to write down. Nobody knows what anybody is predicting yet. We're going to predict at least one thing we're kind of hopeful think could realistically happen, and then one a little bit more like outlandish idea. So let's start with like the straightforward ones first. Like, who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
You guys are bold.
Reiner was giving you a high five.
Okay. I wrote Halo. No, I'm just
perfect.
kidding.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, the boo.
Oh, you got me. Whew.
No. My first prediction, I think that we're going to see some more stuff from like new Forza Motorsport, but I'm honing in more. We're not going to be seeing a rotating car on a platform as we traditionally do on the stage presentation. Instead, that will be replaced with a sizzle reel of lightning fast edited footage of that same car they would otherwise have put on a platform. But that's not all. I think they're also going to tease. We've had Hot Wheels, right? We've had Lego stuff, right?
Yeah.
Really smart.
RC car mode.
Oh,
that's fun.
That's good. That's very good.
Well, how would that work? Would you?
I don't care. You didn't say I had to justify my prediction. So I think we'd just pull the camera out and you'd see like people's legs. Or maybe we don't even see the people, but it would be like more goofy physics and you'd see a little antenna bouncing around. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I like that, driving around in like a real world environment as an RC car, which goes back to your little guy in a big world thing.
Little guy in a big world thing. Exactly. It always goes back to that.
Here. Yeah. Oh, that's smart. That's a good idea. Anybody else have a good prediction?
Nope. He took them all.
that was exactly mine. Like word for word, like he printed my document.
Yep. You shouldn't have a mirror in the background. Like,
yeah, I predict we're gonna see a new Banjo-Kazooie game.
Oh, I like that one.
Oh,
I don't.
Violent, Alex.
You took mine. One of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you took one of mine. You go though. Sorry, just got my rage out.
You think up another one.
Okay.
Yeah, a full-on traditional Banjo-Kazooie experience broken up into levels, not going crazy with open world, just kind of a love letter to what came before. We just had Banjo in Smash Brothers, right? So it makes sense. You're priming the pump. Let's bring him back in a big way. And what better way than a launch title? I'm going to say it's going to come day one this fall.
Wow.
And in that same breath, I'm predicting we're getting the release date for Xbox Series X.
You want to predict that release date?
November 20th.
wow.
Look at that.
I could see that being Sony's release date and Microsoft wanting to like undercut them and try to be out like a month earlier, like October 29th or something, right around Watch Dogs, apparently. I don't know.
So that's my prediction. Banjo-Kazooie, bird on the back, looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Ray tracing everywhere, as Jeff wants, shiny reflections, and water looks cool.
Now, just to be clear, you do not want Nuts and Bolts 2? Would you want a Nuts and Bolts 2?
I want that.
Bolts. Yeah, I like that, but I think they got to come back with a traditional one before they start tinkering with kind of the side entries, right?
Yeah.
I think they really need to just nail like Mario, like have this be kind of their Mario moving forward, like just go all in on Banjo for a change.
Let's do it. Bring back the mascots. That's what I say.
Ratchet's back. Might as well bring Banjo.
Crash is back.
That's true. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
I'm all in.
Mascots back.
Alex, what did you think of another one?
Yeah. Oh, I had more than just that, but that was that was kind of my big one. Sony on their showcase showed that they still care about indies. They're still highlighting them, and with Microsoft's ID at Xbox program, indies have always been, or I shouldn't say always, but since the 360 era, have been a really big push for them. And I think what's a better way to get people excited about that than to reveal in some capacity what Playdead has been working on the last 4 years. So, because we got Inside in 2016, I believe, and they work on a cadence of about 4 or 5 years. The only thing that worries me about it is they tweeted out in March. They tweeted out like a teaser video it was mainly just like still, but it had some volume to it. But they were still hiring some people, so I don't know when we'll actually see it. But I think they'll have an ID at Xbox section, and they'll end it with, and here's what Playdead's working on, and it'll be exclusive to Xbox for the first 6 months, and all the Alexes will lose their mind because I absolutely love Playdead.
I would love that. Yeah. And what is the game going to be? Do you know?
Let me peer into my crystal ball here. I guess they've shown very similar. I mean, they've shown that it's probably going to be 2D. All the screen art that they've shared is the same side scrolling thing. It would be cool to see something like space. I'd be really down for see how they play with, because then that could like do some interesting things with their physics and puzzles that I would be down for. So we'll see though.
They did show off in one of their concept art. They showed off like a little astronaut guy.
Yeah, it was like a silhouette kind of. You couldn't exactly make out what he was wearing, but yeah, and then there was like a strike of some sort. So
yeah.
Okay, so they showed a guy in a spacesuit, and now you're making it seem like saying that you want something taking place in space is somehow a prediction. Shame on you.
I gave my prediction.
Shame
already.
on you.
My prediction is that guy is the Kojima mascot guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's the game starring the Kojima mascot space guy.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
I can dig it.
You have a prediction? Mr.
Yeah,
Reed?
I have one that's. I mean, that one's not good enough for you, or what? I do have another one. Yeah, my prediction is that we'll see Obsidian's next thing, which I feel like maybe is a little bit early. So I don't know if this is maybe too bold for a solid prediction because they just shipped Outer Worlds, and then they're still working on Grounded. But I feel
That's
like
a
that
small team. That's a really small.
That's a really small team.
Yeah.
And then Outer Worlds is also, I mean, not super small, but like I know that studio is bigger than both of those teams. So I feel like there's another team out there doing something. And so maybe we get to see what that is. I think we'll see something from some of their acquisitions, and this feels like it'd be a good time to see that.
What do you think
my
it'll be?
prediction.
You got it. You just told Alex, he had to give you an idea. You got to do one as well.
I think it's a side-scrolling platformer in space. No, I do think it's probably another action. Well, yeah, I'll go action RPG of some kind in a fantasy setting, in a new fantasy setting. So it's a new IP. Probably not Pillars based. That's what I'm going to predict.
I bet we see a dragon and it breathes fire at the screen, and then the logo comes out of the fire.
Spoilers.
That logo says the words birds.
Project
Bird is the word.
Project Bird. There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So outside of that, I don't know. You guys have any other like easy ones? Obviously, we know Halo's going to be there because they've said as much. People are theorizing that this will be a good time to release Fable, which could be a really cool closer, I think, which, all signs point to that being pretty close to ready.
How about new Mech Assault?
Really? You think new Mech Assault?
I would love a new Mech Assault.
You're a big fan?
Yeah. Those games were fun.
And we could see Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice 2. That's already been announced. So,
what about Everwild?
Oh, that's
Everwild. Remember
Yeah, they did announce that. Sorry, that kind of links into my next prediction. Do you guys want to do those? Our big bold ones?
Yeah, go for it.
What's your bold one? Okay, I'll start. Yeah.
Well, you should start because we got it dangling here.
Yeah. Well, my prediction is that Phil Spencer is going to take stage or come on with a fake background, right? And he's going to be wearing a Conker's Bad Fur Day shirt. And he'll announce Conker's Bad Fur Week.
Oh,
Conker's back, baby.
A full week.
Everything you want. And I was like, you know what? They could do something with Conker. I feel like, why not? I like Conker. It'd be fun to see him. I think it's a pretty bold move. And then also I was thinking like, oh yeah, we already know that Rare is working on something else, that Everwild game. So it'd be weird for them maybe to announce a new game. Unlike Obsidian, I don't think their team is quite that big to be working on that many projects, but we'll see.
For sure.
Maybe somebody else is doing it.
Yeah, it could be.
It's turn 10. Turn 10's Conker.
No.
Alex, you want to go in reverse order? What's your big, bold prediction?
I guess my bigger, bolder one was Banjo, which obviously wasn't that bold for Reiner. So I'll just give you the one I have. So we know Halo's going to be there. They have specifically said we're going to see the campaign, and I think they're going to blow it out, have 10 minutes dedicated, whatever. But then at the end of that, they're also going to say, we also have one more thing in store for Halo fans. Halo Battle Royale will be its own platform, and people can look forward to playing the beta next month if you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass. Make it exclusive for them, just the beta to start, and then we'll get to play it.
And it's on PC.
Yeah. So and like Game Pass. Yeah. So
that is bold.
I think at least to start, you keep making Game Pass as pretty as possible. If people like me who are just really into Halo, like I think that'd be a good sell for them if they already aren't on it. And they've shown that they're willing to do the $1 for a month thing. So combine that all together. I think we get the beta. You know what? I'm gonna say late August. I'm gonna say late August for a Halo VR battle beta. So there you go.
Very nice.
So, would that have like all the vehicles, just a huge map cluttered with the war, like the things that you expect from all those, the campaign, that makes them feel like big conflicts?
Well, and that's what I was kind of thinking with the VR, like how cool would it be? And this is pie in the sky, but like, one one map is a Covenant battle cruiser, and and has some of those like classic maps within them that you fight, and then like there's a one on Earth that has like Blood Gulch and Beaver Creek or Battle Creek and like or Forerunner World. Like I think there's really cool options with that. And I think that could stand out, and especially if they bring it with the controls and the moment to moment shooter play, I think it could be a really awesome time to be a BR fan and a Halo fan.
What is the stinky cloud that is getting smaller and smaller?
Oh, that's a good question.
What would be like in Halo lore? What would be a good thing?
I think like stinky cloud.
I like the idea of like brutes just breathing. Like that would be it. It's just a wall of them just breathing on you or farting or something like that. I'd be down for that.
At the end of Halo Reach, like, because you eventually died in that game, was it just the enemies kept coming and killed you?
Yeah,
there was no like circle or anything.
Oh no, but to that point, it could be you're in, like the Covenant are about to glass the planet. I guess I don't know. It would like
they're just glassing it, but
it like it.
Why didn't we do this in one thing? Real problem with our beam.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And how frustrating would the Needler be in a battle royale?
Oh God.
Can you imagine?
No, thank you.
Just someone keeping pace with the stuff is shrinking right behind them, and they're just like picking people off.
Yeah.
I hate it already. Thanks for
nothing.
That
they keep going back to it, and they can just never make the Needler work.
No. Yeah.
Reiner, what about you?
Okay, this is a big one. This is the one that it is outlandish, not going to happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mass Effect. Remember how that started on Xbox? It was published by Microsoft. What if a remaster was on stage here as a PC Xbox exclusive?
Wow.
Oh, the whole thing's exclusive.
Well,
like
just the
timed?
remastering that first game.
Or just okay.
Oh, so just be the first game.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that
what do you want out of that?
Content
visuals?
It would have to be like Res Evil, like a whole reimagining, right?
Oh wow.
Because if you just do redo the visuals on one, you got to do all three of them, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my prediction. Mass Effect on stage. Not gonna happen.
Right. We'll see.
I'd love that because I thought about that for KOTOR too, because that was exclusive to Xbox when it first launched. But
yeah,
there's all these rumors of it coming back, right? Like as a remaster, like
yeah.
But I mean, for it to be exclusive to Microsoft just seems like that could never happen at this point. But we're going back to square one with it.
Yeah.
All right, Cork, you're up.
Yeah, I may have blown it because I didn't realize what the pacing of this was. Mech Assault was my big one, which in retrospect is a little lackluster, but it's got ray tracing. So
those mechs look shiny.
The cockpits, when you see an explosion, you get to see like the reflection of everything that's going off, and inside there it looks so nice and fun, and people are loving it. So
and you just load instantly into the next one.
Load instantly into the next one. Exactly.
What's the
Crimson Sky? It's a Crimson Skies Mech Assault double pack.
There we go.
Oh, Mech Assault Crimson Skies.
Yes. Double pack.
And you know what? You play as a mech, and then when you want to go into ship, you just eject the legs and sprout wings.
Boom.
And you're flying around.
Exactly.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool. Here's my double bold prediction.
Ooh.
All of this stuff happens.
Wow.
Whoa.
It all happens.
Whoa. I like that prediction. That'd
be good.
Would that be better than Sony's showcase if all this stuff happened?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's my phone call. You've gotten too close to the truth.
You got Horizon 2 and Spider-Man though. Like those are exciting.
Yeah, those are pretty good.
It depends.
I really like those.
Yeah. It depends on how their launch lineup works. Like I think Microsoft has a really good opportunity here because like as much as Sony's showcase was awesome, we didn't really get a vibe for what day one we're going to get outside of Miles, right? So it's like if they can be like, hey, we have Banjo, Halo, this slew of indies, and this is the best place to play X, Y, and Z.
Bad for a week.
Yeah. Bad for a week. That's enticing. So we'll see. Do we want to we each give a prediction what we think the price will be, or
Oh, I have one more prediction on Mass Effect, by the way. They're going to show off the character creator, and they're going to be showing off all the faces, how detailed it is. You can see the light through the earlobes, and it just looks so beautiful. And then as they're scrolling, one of the faces is going to be Keanu Reeves. You get to play Keanu Reeves as Commander Shepard.
fully voiced.
And he does the voice.
Oh,
yeah. I would have to,
yeah. Man, shoot for the stars, my friend. I love it.
Okay, price.
Yeah, price.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first? Here's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be, because there's two, right? There's at least two models.
Yep.
So I think the cheap one's going to be $499. The expensive one will be $549. It's a weird one.
I'm gonna say the cheap one is $399.
Really?
Yeah. It's not based on anything. It seems like a good number.
Yeah.
I like your prediction better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else have any different numbers?
I was thinking $499 for the base, and I think especially because the rumor is PS5's looking at $600. It's just a rumor, but if Microsoft can undercut them at all on price, I think they're willing to take whatever loss that means for their production side, especially if Game Pass is filling the coffers. So I think $499 for the base model, and then what, $450, $400 for, I'll say $450 because Jeff said $400 for whatever Lockhart is. So
yeah, I think $500 for the base, and then $800 for the one that comes with Connect.
$800. Do you get a game with that?
No, you get Connect.
Oh my gosh!
Joyride 2.
It works this time. We promise.
Mm-hmm.
You are the controller. You don't need one.
That's true. No. I'm being retired.
All right, cool. Well, that does it for GI Predicts. Are we right? You'll know in a week.
Nailed it.
So will we.
Does the winner get anything? Have we decided?
Kiss.
Oh, okay. We'll have to hold that for another year or two.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we'll try way harder.
Yeah.
We
haven't figured out next week's show yet, but we'll probably revisit this in some capacity and figure out how close we were, and we'll have the real news, which will be surprisingly close to what we just said. So that's my prediction.
There it is.
All right. You guys ready to do some community emails?
Yeah,
yes,
buddy.
All right. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show. I'm still Ben Reeves. Still got the same crew here. Jeff Cork, Andy Reiner, Alex. I almost called you Alex Vader. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Well, it's been a good week of hosting the podcast, and we're done.
This became not fun anymore.
Alex Stadnick.
That's my name.
I'll never forget your name.
Doubt it.
Welcome to the show, guys. How's it going? We're still here. We're still doing it.
Are we?
We got, you know what this segment's about? This is about community emails. We have people, do you guys understand what happens? We have people that write into us. Podcast@GameInformer.com. They send us emails, and we're going to read them here. So if you are out there listening and you're enjoying what you're hearing and you want to write in, podcast@GameInformer.com, send us an email, send us a question, we'll answer it. What kind of emails do you guys like to get?
Emails where they say my name right? I don't know.
I don't think that's possible.
No. Fair.
It makes the show better. Is that what you're looking for, buddy?
I don't know. I thought maybe you had an opinion. So this show's about talking about our opinions. Yeah. So that's why I brought you here. But yeah, I like to get questions. I'm still holding out hope that somebody's going to write in about a dream. I've been talking about that for years, but nobody ever has.
Yeah.
I like games. That's my response. Games are fun. Send games.
Games are fun. Cool. Well, let's jump into it. Should we do that?
Please.
First
Get us out of here.
Eric Bello, he writes in. First off, congrats on the new hosting gig. I didn't want to read this part. I try to cut these parts, but hey, thanks, Eric. He says, with the release of The Last of Us Part 2, I have seen many wildly different reactions to the narrative. Most of the regarding plot, pacing, length, expectations, and such. But he goes on, he has an interesting question. He says, because the structure of the sequel is so different from the first one, it got me thinking, what do you guys look for in a sequel? And what do you guys think makes a good sequel? What do you guys think? Doesn't have to be about Last of Us. It can be about anything.
I think a sequel that kind of challenges what you know and really takes it in different directions. If it's playing too safe, maybe if it's something you like, that's fine. But I always look for sequels that really try to expand what it is, right? Grow that universe and make it have different legs than you thought were possible, right? Like it's running on something different and going a direction you didn't expect. And I think those are the games that, like Last of Us Part 2, they shock you. You might not agree with the direction it goes, but they're trying something different, right? And Last Jedi, it was the same way with Star Wars for a movie where it was, Luke got that saber at the end of Force Awakens, and you're like, oh man, what's going to happen? And immediately they're just like, this is not what you expect is going to happen when he throws it over your shoulder. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was going to be my answer basically. Is I love surprise me. I don't know if I have a good example for like what that is because you're trying to surprise me. But what I don't love in sequels is stuff where it's like, here's kind of more of the same. I think one of the big culprits of that is the Far Cry series. And I say that even though I love those games and I've enjoyed playing 4, 5, and I'm sure I'll enjoy 6 a lot, but it does kind of feel like you're playing the same game after a while. So I wish they would shake it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong, and in that same breath, nothing wrong with like a Ratchet and Clank where it's the same type of game, but they change up the weapons and worlds you go to, right? And I think that's perfectly fine too. But the ones that really get me are the ones that are going directions I can't predict.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think that like mechanically things should be refined from the original. It doesn't necessarily need to like. I don't feel like the obligation like to reinvent the game completely, but I mean like take what works and build on that. That's always what excites me. Is like we've got this combat system that you liked before, now we've added a couple of new moves to it that kind of give you a little more chance to express yourself in combat, or for example, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I love it when you just go back to the basics. Like, what is this franchise about? I think Breath of the Wild did a really good job with that. Like, kind of reinventing the Zelda formula had been really good and solid, and I enjoyed those games. But it had become, what I'm talking about with Far Cry, where you kind of knew what to expect.
Yeah.
And Breath of the Wild really shook it up in a cool way, and I really love that game. I think God of War, the 2018 release, was another good example of like kind of going back and rethinking what this game is about and redoing some things. So that's what I love.
And I'm with you guys on the idea that great sequels bend expectations, but there's also a responsibility by the creators to keep those characters honest at the same time too, and be like honest to who they are. And that's why I loved Last of Us, because like as much as like Ellie does some things, it feels natural, and unfortunately, but like it feels like a natural response to her. So it's like I love when sequels can it's everything you guys talked about, take what has been made and then push it out more, but it needs to stay true to what that original vision is as well, which actually can be a detriment sometimes too when you get into episode 6, episode 7, that kind of stuff. But as long as it's grounded in what we loved in the first place, I'm here for it.
Great. Cool. Next question. Chris from Ohio. Excuse me. He writes in, he says, my question is, when you guys create a character in a game, what name do you use and why? Do you always go with your real life name? Do you guys create different names depending on the game or the genre? Are you like me, and do you use the same name for everything? He says his created character's name is always Caladim, which is the name of a dwarven city in EverQuest, which he really liked. So what do you guys do for names?
I almost always go with Jeffy Poo.
Really?
I don't know why. Just how it is, baby. I especially like it in like multiplayer games too, because I think that there's something especially humiliating about potentially losing to someone named Jeffy Poo.
Can you imagine in Warzone, you have this intense duel, you're sweating, and you end up dying, and the winner is Jeffy Poo?
Someday that'll happen.
Uninstall, baby. I'm done.
I have 3 answers, Ben Reeves.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So for replay, this is a Game Informer thing. We do butts, BUTTZ, every time. If I'm playing a sports game where I'm actually making myself in the game, I go with Andrew Reiner. Like, I want him to look exactly like me. I'm bringing up through the minor leagues, just this kind of fantasy thing of being a pro ball player. And then in any other game, if I'm able to fully create a character, I'll design it how I want to make it look cool, and then I'll try to think of what that character's name would be and kind of the lore behind this character a little bit. So those are my 3 answers.
It's pretty good. Yeah, I do.
Him or her, by the way. It doesn't,
really?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I do. I usually do Jammin', which is my really cool junior high nickname that I had when I was a kid.
Wait, what? Jammin'?
Yeah,
Like
Benjamin.
Benjamin?
You take out the
Benjamin.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it.
Jamin. Yeah, but it seems kind of like now that I'm an adult man, it feels dorky to call my characters Jammin' sometimes. If it's like an RPG or something, sometimes I'll go with Spaniard, which was like something I created. Spaniard, sorry, is something I created in like high school. Like me and my friends had like these fake names for ourselves, which I don't even remember how that started.
I would stick with Jammin' in that situation, maybe.
And then if it's a girl, I'll sometimes go with Jean because I really liked Jean Grey from the X-Men, and I was like, I don't know what to name myself if I'm a girl, Jean. But that also just feels like kind of a lame girl. Like, no offense to anybody named Jean, but just like if you're gonna create a character and be whatever you want, like I don't know. I don't have any like really good girl names. I feel like I need better names.
Across the board, dude. You need to reinvent your fictional characters.
If you got a good name for me, write in podcast@gamebefore.com.
I was gonna say, let's help Jammin' out, please, community.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to beat Jammin', but still.
Yeah.
I'll say that like Joe and I recently got back into Path of Exile recently, and coming up with a character name that has not been used because it has such a large player base is almost impossible. So like it's a huge triumph whenever I come up with like I just go for dumb funny names now, and if I find one that works, it's just like yes. Like I'll even like make characters and then just save it, and I have no intention of playing as them, just so I'm like I have this reserved right now because it's a good idea.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Was Jeffy Poo taken?
Jeffy Poo was taken, unfortunately. So, yeah, I think I have a ranged character named Squeaks Bayou, and then I've got my witch. She's a necromancer type, and her name is Slay Queen. So there you go.
Can you spend like half an hour and come up with some character names for me, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just email me.
Yeah. Jammin' with 2 M's. Ta-da.
Oh.
There you go.
Jam.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
When I make a lady character, I always name her Kate for some reason. It just seems like a good, easy name that's like, if it's especially like a game that you couldn't name your character Kate in Path of Exile. I'm sure someone has jumped on top of that one long ago. But like single player RPGs, it's just like it seems like it's appropriate for everything. And yeah, that's what I just do by default.
It does feel like a cooler name than Jean.
Mm-hmm.
Again, no offense to the jeans out there.
Yep.
I love wearing jeans. Big fan.
There you go.
All right. Next question. Donnie from Norfolk, Virginia. He writes in, my question is, what is it you guys value more for next-gen consoles? Do you guys prefer technological advancements like what Sony is touting, or do you prefer what Microsoft is pushing with the worth of their games library across platforms? That was an interesting question. And just like right off the bat, I'm like, I know Sony is touting their tech, but I think Microsoft's tech is just as good.
I was going to say
their processors are even more impressive, right? So it's interesting kind of way framing of the question, but I think the heart of the idea is still there. Like, what do you guys prefer? Are you more interested in like tech? Are you more interested in like games, platforms, like approach to like releasing games? Like what interests you in a console?
When you speak about like the games library, you're talking about the fact that your games go with you to this new hardware, not necessarily the like scope of the games library on the next gen, right? I want to be sure I
think the heart of the question could go either way. Like, are you more interested in the games that are going to be on the console, or are you interested in bringing games forward from previous generations? Like, I think all that's in there. Like, what do you prefer? What are you more excited about?
That one's tough because I always pretend like whenever there's a generational launch, I don't know how you guys are, but I talk a big game when it comes to like I'm gonna have both systems hooked up and everything, but I stop playing the older stuff fairly quickly as soon as like there are enough games on the new hardware. So that's always great when you have like backward compatibility where you're able to just download stuff like going to Xbox One, you can download 360 games, and that's fantastic. I don't know. I don't know. Backward compatibility is that big of a deal, though. Ultimately, I don't know. I want to see what new tech can do. I guess ultimately that's where I'm at.
I'm with you. I always think I like backwards compatibility, but I could probably count the number of times I've actually used a backwards compatibility game on one hand, right? I don't think I use it that much personally.
Yeah.
I think the approach that both Sony and Microsoft are taking is, I think this is a big moment right out of the gates. You know, like two very different stories where Sony is going very traditional, and you have to have a PlayStation 5 to play Horizon Zero Dawn or Horizon 2, right? Spider-Man, you have to have a PlayStation 5, right? That's the messaging right now. They're not available on PS4. At least they haven't announced that yet. Whereas Microsoft is saying Halo Infinite, you could play it on Xbox One or you could play it on your Xbox Series X. It's going to look better on it. So I think right out of the gates right there, I'm more intrigued by what Sony's doing. I want to see what these tailored experiences are for PS5. Maybe we'll be proven wrong that Halo looks just so much better on Xbox Series X, you know, and there's this big leap, but I have to think that's going to hold back developers a little bit, right? Like in terms of especially third parties that want to have everything on, you know, the biggest install base possible, PC, Xbox, and PS5. They're not going to just be creating something for high end, right? Like they're going to be thinking Xbox One is the base and build up from there, right? Like, isn't that kind of how that narrative's going to go for at least for these first few years until games are exclusive on Xbox Series X?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
I guess I can't envision Microsoft telling them. I mean, I can't envision that they're still not developing first for Series X. You know, like, you know, I just think, I guess, I don't know. I viewed Microsoft's campaign more as just like trying to make sure everyone feels included in this before this next step really jumps over. I've never developed a game. I don't know how easy it is to derez something, but like, I can't imagine they would risk losing third-party support to make sure that an Xbox One is still covered, you know? Like, I don't know if that would be a good business move for them if you want to sell consoles, which, you know, maybe
And I guess, I mean,
you know, both could be right, but
third parties could be like, this only works on this new machine too, right? Like only works on Series X, only works on PS5. Like that NBA demo looked crazy in terms of the visual details. Would that even be possible on last gen? These are answers we don't know yet, right? Like
for sure.
Questions that we're going to ask as we move forward.
Them as wet.
But I think that's interesting. I think it's a really interesting approach right out of the gate that they both have two very different stances on how this next generation is going to play out, right? Like when I turn on my Xbox and I log into my account and I see my entire library there from Xbox One, it's going to feel weird, but also maybe down the road, that's cool that they're all there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas PS5, it's like, oh, it's a whole new ball game, right? Like different interface, all that stuff, from what we're hearing at least.
Yeah.
I think going back to this question about like, do you guys care much about the tech? And I feel like with the Switch kind of confirmed in my mind that I don't care that much about the tech. Like, I think it's neat and I like that the tech is there for developers to do new things. But what I really care about is like, are the games awesome? Yep. And like, you know, Breath of the Wild is one of my favorite games for the last 10 years. And it's on a Switch, which is like a less powerful console than the next gen one. So if they just made another one of those, yeah, I don't know. I don't care what the tech is as long as you give me good games that I really love.
100%.
So that's ultimately my answer.
Yeah.
I think they go hand in hand though, right? Like the games are lifted up by the tech. That's what's always exciting about new gen is how that tech enhances the games that you're going to be playing for the next 5 to 10 years or whatever. And controller too, you know, it all comes down to that controller. Like, is it cool? I'm curious to try the Sony one, right? Where they're talking about the rumble being different and it's a game changer and how 3D sound's going to work and all that stuff. Like that's where tech could be really cool. But I do like that I can use my Elite controller on my new Xbox because it's the best controller ever made. But is Sony upping the game now? Is Microsoft just kind of holding steady? And is that a mistake? You know, these are things we're going to learn as the months kind of move forward here, and these machines are hopefully unveiled more. I really want to see more on the machines, not just the games that are going to be on them. Like it feels like we're missing a big part of this narrative.
Yeah, we should probably like a week after the new consoles launch, on like rate our buyer's remorse on a scale of 1 to 10. I think that'd be interesting.
Yeah, that'd be really good.
We always, even if you get a system at launch and you're excited about it, the launch lineups can often be not the best, right?
Yeah.
Like games feel rushed or just not really showing what the machine's capable of.
Yeah.
It's a good idea, Jeff.
But then, then you get defensive about it too. Or I did when I got my Xbox One with like Call of Duty Ghost on it. I was like, nah, man, it's one of the best Call of Duties ever. And then I learned very quickly. So
we're getting Spider-Man at launch. That's huge.
Yes, we are.
I'm excited for that one. Cool.
Give me more.
Joel Cost from Newmarket, New Hampshire. He writes in. He says, he starts off by talking about Ghost of Tsushima and the reviews that are out. And he just wanted to say that Miller's review is probably one of the best articles GI has published, which is, wow. I wish Miller was here so I could make him blush.
Yeah.
But thank you, Joel. He also says, I feel like folks don't talk enough about the magazine's writing itself very much. And he just wanted to acknowledge how fun it was to read that particular review. And then he says, on the topic of the game itself, it seems like some reviewers place the game in a more negative light because it feels too familiar or it doesn't innovate too much on the open world genre. So how do you guys feel about criticizing a game because it's not innovative? In a day and age where games come out every day, I think criticizing a game for its lack of innovation is shallow, but what do you guys think?
That's a tough one because I don't know that just it's tricky to talk about because I think like there's something about just doing things that you are familiar with but executing them really well. Like I don't think that everything has to be completely new, or frankly there wouldn't be any games coming out because everything is iterating on what other developers are doing in other genres, taking elements. Like you look at just the prevalence of RPG mechanics and systems that have just kind of seeped into every conceivable genre, and you just take for granted now that any action game you play, you're going to have a way of upgrading your character in a path that is defined by you and the choices and the way that you like to play and what you prioritize as being fun, right? That's just, you just take that for granted. I don't know that any of that's innovative at this point just because everyone has been doing it. I think that I value more just like doing things that we know are proven and doing them really well. And I think innovation comes in like the settings and like I think Ghost of Tsushima, like the visual design is so striking and crazy and just it sounds like an understatement, but it's just so, like competent on every level that I think in a way that's exciting. Competent sounds like faint praise, but I don't know. I don't know that everything needs to be like, oh, you shoot a gun in this game? No, the guns have 10 barrels now. See that because the you're used to a double barrel shotgun. I think.
What game is this? I want to play
it. Probably Serious Sam or something. I don't know.
One barrel for each enemy.
Yeah, I think ultimately there's just something to be said about like taking things that are familiar and just like doing a really, really great job of bringing those things to players.
Yeah, I cut my teeth in this industry when Doom was, just coming online. So everything was compared to Doom. You'd be like, this Too Extreme skateboarding game's cool, but it's no Doom. Like everything was compared to it. And then Mario 64 as well, right? That was another kind of sea change moment of like everyone started latching onto that. And how is this game compared to it? But I think the big takeaway is when you play Ghost in particular, it feels like it's its own experience. There's things that are familiar, like muscle memory. Like you're talking about, Reeves. But think about every first-person shooter you play. It's like you go through that tutorial of duck under a log,
look up here, look there,
look up, jump over this barricade. Like every game has you go through those steps because it's such a great way of onboarding. But everyone in the industry is doing it, and it's just familiar language. And I think we're going to start seeing that more and more as there are big successes in open world games and traversal games, that things just kind of become a standard in them. And I think you see that through Assassin's Creed into Ghost. Even the Mordor games have a lot of Assassin's Creed in them as well. I think that's fine. I think it hasn't been done better. It's such a great base. just build upon it, right? And that's what Ghost does really well, is it establishes its own vibe and presence by expanding on just these great ideas that are have been knocked out of the park by other developers and games.
Yeah. And I think sorry.
You gonna let me go?
Yeah. You are the host.
Yeah. I think that's really well said. One thing I was just going to add is we used to call things innovative in this industry because nobody had any clue what the hell they were doing. Like nobody knew how to make a game, right? And so it was innovative to let you control the camera at one point. It was like, what? And now it's just like, of course you control the camera. Like we just have figured out so many things about how to make games and how games should work and how games are fun, that now these systems are in place. This language of how games work is in place. And so now it's just about, kind of to your point, Cork, innovating on that is implementing it well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Alex, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think developer intent is important too. If they come out and say, we are building a Metroidvania to honor like the past, like, and it doesn't quite like innovate, doesn't change that, but that's exactly what they were going for. I think that's something you need to take into consideration. Because there are times where I just want to play a really great Metroidvania or a really good first-person shooter, and I don't need it to show me like a whole new breadth of things. Like that's great. Like I'm not saying I want innovation, I want new things, but like, you know, sometimes when you're craving like a Metroidvania or 2D platformer, like, you know, that just feels good. And if that's the developer's intent on what they want to make, I don't think it's fair to say, well, you didn't make the next Breath of the Wild. It's like, yeah, we never intended to do that. That wasn't our goal here.
You just want to hear the hits.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting discussion though.
Yeah.
Great. We have Tessa Power from New Zealand's writing in. She says, so here's the deal, everybody. Here's the deal. It's the very near future. Elon Musk reveals that he's invented FTL travel, and he's setting off to discover a new life outside our galaxy. The Game Informer crew, it makes sense they would come to this for this. I get this.
Yeah.
Elon Musk invented it.
Yeah. Did he invent our website? The way it works, the way it does? He says the Game Informer crew has been tasked with a very important mission that will aid in first contact. We have to put together a curated list of games that will help alien life understand human culture. And then there's a list of, if you guys want, there's a list of game genres we're supposed to pick from. We're supposed to pick like one shooter, one platform, one RPG. I think to save time, we'll maybe kind of limit the discussion a little bit and not go through the whole list here. But yeah, what do you guys think? What about if you had to pick one shooter that would help aliens understand humanity? What would we go with?
Do we want the aliens to understand true humanity or the best of humanity?
Good question.
Well, I mean, on some level, you're shooting other things. So, like, what game would you pick that would represent humanity best on that level? The Noah's Ark game?
I mean, The Sims, right? I guess.
Well, that's not a
first-person shooter.
But yeah, that's interesting.
I mean, gosh.
I like The Sims.
Do you do a historical Call of Duty game? Like, we've been at war with ourselves, and you know, I don't know.
We could really confuse them and give them BioShock. Be like, yeah, man, 60s were wild.
Don't go in the water.
A really easy one would be Fortnite, because then you've got a chance to show like that people like to build things. You've got all the different dances and sprays and skins that are influenced by human culture from a variety of sources, both licensed and otherwise. It seems like a really good giant dart to throw at the board that just covers a lot of little spaces.
Hey, look, aliens, we're playful.
Right.
We can also like create stairs and like furniture out of nowhere, out of thin air, because we're magicians, and so don't try to invade us.
Stay away.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I like the Fortnite idea.
Yeah.
Also, there was a simulators category that I didn't mention. And I like Sims. Is the Sims like the best for that?
It has to be, right?
Yeah, Sims.
SimCity.
Just like
we build
SimCity's
metropolises.
Sim Ant. Just make everybody think we're all ants.
Does Minecraft fall into that category? Because I would definitely want to share Minecraft with them, because I feel like that encompasses the best of just people creating and going on cool adventures and stuff, and not tearing each other apart limb from limb.
There's a survival category. We could put it under there. Or it's more like the reason you want to share that though is just for the building aspect, right?
Yeah.
The sandbox
and to show that our games don't always have to be just us like murdering each other, but we can also like show off our creativity, within the game. So
yeah, I think
a game
that's
that doesn't lend itself to a particular genre, which is kind of a cop out in a lot of ways. I think Roblox is your check a bunch of boxes simultaneously. Also, just because every big game has a knockoff on Roblox that you can play, most likely with unauthorized soundtrack and characters and everything like that some kid has cobbled together. Like, it's like, it reminds me of like Interdimensional Cable on Rick and Morty, where you just like play these games that just don't make any sense, and like they're being played by tens of thousands of people at that moment, and there's no reason why anyone wants why are these people role playing as babies. This doesn't make any sense.
It'd be funny because we'd have first contact, the two spaceships, and we'd shoot over the data for our games, and then the alien ship would just slowly turn around and go away.
Oh boy, why did we come out here?
How about Civilization as a simulation? That walks you through different eras. Obviously shows how we can cooperate and war against each other, and we're a complicated species.
Is that better than SimCity then?
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. As a snapshot of Earth, I think so.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then they're like, oh, they're so weak. All they have is spears.
Their armies are so small. There's like 5 guys right there.
They're really strong, apparently. Yeah, I do like that. I like that. Going back to like the Minecraft, Roblox, like if you had to pick one of those,
that's tough. I
don't think you can bring them both.
Yeah, you can't bring them both. I think Minecraft certainly is a better game in a lot of ways, but I think if you're just jamming it down an alien's throat, I'd go with Roblox. But
yeah, I didn't read that part of the email, but it says we're going to jam all of these games down their throats.
That's how they're administered.
Yeah. Really going to try to make peace there.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I was also thinking like dreams. If you just want to like get creative, like give them dreams. I don't know if those
great idea
would be super hard to learn if you don't know English, but especially if they had an internet connection.
They'd have to. We'd have to
other things. That'd be great.
They'd have to have some kind of translation system for any of these games.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just send them Tetris. Like, look what we did.
Yeah.
Well. Man, yeah, Tetris is a really good idea. So I was thinking, like, if you just wanted to give them like a game, I think the original Super Mario Brothers, you can hand that to somebody, and they would be able to figure it out without anybody talking to them. Like, you could learn how to play Super Mario Brothers just by interacting with the gamepad. And I think that's but your idea for Tetris is also really good.
Yeah.
So I don't know which one to pick from those two.
I want to test that hypothesis. If we can get access to someone who's never in their entire life played a video game and give them Super Mario Brothers, I want to know what they would do.
That'd be hard. That'd be good.
Would they figure it out?
I think they would. There's a lot of interesting like videos online of like how smartly that first level is designed, because you walk forward, you run into the enemy, you find out you die, you do it again, you're like, well, how do I interact with these things? You jump on it, and kind of like the placement of the blocks limits you from, you sort of are forced to jump on the guy. Yeah. And then the next block shows you that, okay, there's a mushroom, but you don't know if the mushroom's good or bad. But then you're locked in and you kind of can't avoid that mushroom.
I get all that, but that's like we're doing literary analysis on something, but this situation is like giving it to somebody who can't read. You know what I mean? Like, it's easy for us to look at game design and go like, oh, it's really smart because it's doing all these things. I want to know someone who doesn't even know that you can jump in a video game. Because like the concept of jumping is in a lot of ways a real video gamey thing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sure. Well, I guess the reason I picked that is because there's 2 buttons on the NES gamepad. I guess 4 with start and select, but to me it feels like easy enough to work out. I don't know. Go find somebody, Jeff.
Yeah, maybe I'll do it like how to wipe my memory. Maybe I'll be the test subject.
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Don't wipe too much.
Yeah.
Just enough, please. All right. Any other thoughts on that? There's a lot more categories. I don't think we need to go over them all, but one of the categories is monster collection, which is that a game genre?
Pokemon or Monster Hunter?
Oh, is that where they were going?
Monster Rancher? I guess what else could there be?
Yeah, do they have CDs in Alien Culture they could use for Monster Rancher?
Exclusively. They only have CDs.
I like the idea of giving them Pokemon and just seeing if we can get these aliens addicted on something.
There you go.
Like, would they really get into whatever we gave them?
Would they get into the microtransactions? Could we make some money on?
Oh, there we go.
Hello, you solved it. So we give them NBA.
Yeah, NBA 2K,
or like or Madden for Ultimate Team.
Yeah,
or FIFA.
All right, yeah, that's the only game we're gonna give them.
We set them back thousands of years.
Dollars.
That'd be great.
Exactly, perfect. That's the plot of the new Stargate movie, I think.
There you go.
All right, cool. Well, that's it. That was our last email. So thanks for writing in, everybody. Once again, that's podcast@GameInformer.com if you want to write in an email or send us a game or, a dream. Write in. Which brings us to our last segment of the podcast, which is recommendations. You guys have any recs you want to throw out there? Stuff on the site, magazine you want people to check out? Me personally, this is a little bit older, but I think it's still interesting. I did an interview with the creator of Pac-Man, Toru Iwatani. I hope I'm saying that right. But he was an interesting guy to talk to. There's a few interesting nuggets in there. For example, I had always heard that Pac-Man was created when he looked at a piece of pizza with a slice taken out. I'm sure you guys have heard this myth.
Yeah.
But in recent years, I've heard that is a myth. Like, that was not true. And I actually asked him, like, is there any truth to that story? And he was like, yeah, that's totally what happened. And so I'm like, well, why are people saying that's not what happened then? So I don't know what to believe. But then the other interesting question I asked him was, this was from you, Cork. You had always talked about how Pac-Man could be considered a horror game. Do you remember that? And because you're running from ghosts and you're lost in this like maze.
They're gonna kill you.
Yeah, and they're gonna kill you. So it's, to me, and you have like power pellets, but those are a limited resource. So
4 bullets.
It's basically survival horror in a sense.
Yeah. Wow.
And I asked him, it's like, what do you think about this idea? And he's like, no way. It's not a horror game.
You idiot.
So he crushed my dreams.
Tell Corky's dumb.
Yeah. But I still would counter that I still think it could be, even if the creator doesn't consider it one.
Yeah, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
What about you guys? Have anything to recommend?
Yeah, I put up a feature, pretty quick thing about Kurosawa mode, because it's got some things that I was not expecting that affect gameplay in Ghost of Tsushima. So, and I took lots of pretty pictures. So there you go.
Yeah. So if you want to see it in Kurosawa mode, because that's what a lot of them are, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even if you haven't played the game yet, you can check out how good it looks.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. What about you guys, Alex, Reiner?
I have 5 games that you should play before this generation is over article. And I would tell you what they are, but I want you to read it instead. So
can you tease us?
They're good games.
What didn't make the cut?
Every other game other than 5.
I don't think he's written it yet, Reeves.
All right.
I'll give you one. Sunset Overdrive by Insomniac Games.
Okay.
That's just like such a fun open world kind of superhero like shooter experience that's unlike anything else out there, and it kind of laid the groundwork for Spider-Man, and you should play it before this generation's over, because as you said, Reeves, you probably won't backwards compatible anything when you get your new system. So knock those 5 games out before this generation is over, and then move on.
Hurry.
Yeah.
Alex, what about you?
What could have been with that game? I put out, from the words of Matt Miller, I did the video review for Ghost of Tsushima, and I think a lot of the footage worked really well with his awesome words, and it's one of my favorite video reviews I've done, even though I thought I sounded sick. I've been told by a bunch of people that I don't sound too bad, which is good, but go check that out. I really love how it starts and how it ends. I was really happy with how everything turned out with it. So go check it out. And once again, go check out Matt Miller's review. It's truly a treat to get to read such pretty words from him and all of the GI crew. So
great. Well, thanks for being on the show, guys. It was a fun time, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening, and tune in next week. We'll have another episode for you. Have a good night. Game on.
Yes, he said it. Yeah.